You don't understand anything. Do you still not get why I cheated? When I confronted him about the affair, my husband responded with a sharp tone. He acted as if he was innocent, with an attitude that seemed to blame everything on me. In the face of such a husband, I confronted him with confidence. What do you mean? Are you saying it's my fault that you cheated? Yeah, that's right. I cheated because you made me feel lonely. Huh? Are you serious about saying that? Of course. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just get out of here. In that moment, all the emotions I had built up towards my husband vanished completely. There was no love left, only disgust. What did this person just say? That I caused him to cheat because I made him feel lonely? This is outrageous. I will make sure to teach him a lesson no matter what it takes. I made up my mind for revenge and immediately started preparing. My name is Emily Johnson, and I'm 32 years old. I work for a famous beverage company. Being in the beverage industry, it's not just about planning new products. It also involves adapting labels, container shapes, and more to align with the trends of the time. Especially for beverages featured in commercials, we have to think about memorable catchphrases and label designs that leave a lasting impression. That task is quite challenging, and it's often the case after pondering for days. Good ideas don't come easily. Since graduating from university, I have been immersed in my work every day. The change in my life came about 2 years ago. It was all thanks to an encounter with my husband, Andrew. Andrew and I met at a matchmaking party where we were both invited by our friends. Originally, I wasn't very enthusiastic, so I just kept drinking alcohol the whole time, but he was the one who approached me and started a conversation. Would someone normally approach a person who seems to be so quietly drinking alcohol in the corner of a table? He's quite an unusual person. While thinking that when we talked, we surprisingly got along well, and I naturally started smiling. After exchanging contact information, we continued to have meals together the following month, and 1 year after that exchange, we started living together with the idea of marriage in mind. My work keeps me busy, on the other hand. Andrew's company is small, so he always finishes work earlier than I do. Therefore, when I come home, he's always there waiting for me and preparing meals. Welcome back, Emily. Dinner's ready. You made it for me? Thank you. Well, you're busy, Emily, so I had to do it. It's just something simple, though, so go easy on me. No, I'm really happy, thank you. You're contributing far more to the living expenses, so it's only fair that I do this. Indeed, there was a significant income gap between us. The reason being, a few years ago, my project succeeded and I got promoted. When we decided to live together, we roughly discussed our incomes and found that there was about a threefold difference between mine and Andrew's salary. So we split up the rent equally. While I covered the utilities and food expenses, I ended up covering a large portion of the living expenses, but it doesn't particularly bother me. That's because Andrew took the initiative and skillfully managed things. Unlike me, who occasionally faces such holiday work commitments, Andrew reliably has weekends and holidays off. As a result, he prepares meals and even takes care of the household chores on weekdays. On holidays, he thoroughly cleans the entire house, leaving no corner untouched. For my part, to let him rest, I sometimes take care of the household chores on weekends. In this way, we supported each other and smoothly enjoyed our cohabitation together. 6 months after starting to live together, Andrew proposed and we decided to get married. Becoming a married couple, we took the opportunity to move to a slightly larger apartment. But here's where the problem comes in. There was significant differences between the properties Andrew wanted to live in and the ones I preferred. Our companies are roughly in the middle, so let's choose this one. I showed him the floor plan of a certain property, but my husband never nodded in agreement. Instead, he forcefully held his smartphone in front of me and boldly said, "I'm telling you, this place is definitely better. The rooms are more spacious, and it's better on the higher floors, right? You misunderstood what I showed you, you know. Isn't this spacious enough? Your choice is too big even if we have kids in the future." Just don't get it. Having more space is always better. Besides, you can wake up early, right? I am not a morning person, so I want to live close to my office. What's with that? It's not just about your convenience. I do most of the household chores anyway, so it's fine, right? You can focus on your work. Even after discussing it several times, my husband didn't budge an inch. On the contrary, he kept pushing opinions aggressively. He didn't listen to anything I said, so in the end, we ended up moving to the property he suggested. The place turned out what they call a compact high-rise apartment, and my room my husband signed for the contract was on the 7th floor. The rent skyrocketed several times, more than what we used to pay, and the expenses visibly increased. On top of that, he said he wanted to replace all the furniture and appliances with new ones, and it was all going to be bought with my money. Initially, as usual, we split the rent, and I covered the utilities and food expenses, but around 3 months after moving, my husband's attitude gradually started to change. "I'm back!" One day I returned home from work and there were cup noodles, potatoes scattered in the living room. Next to them was a whiskey glass and my husband lying on the sofa looking at his phone. There was no usual welcome home greeting. The room was quite messy and there was, of course, no meals prepared. "Hey, Andrew, are you tired?" When I asked, he didn't change his posture, but turned his gaze towards me inside, opening his mouth with an obvious, wary expression. "Can't see you. I'm tired of this, so just a lazy meal, you know." "I see. Well, then I'll have some cup soup, too." "Huh? I bought that supply, you know." "Huh? So I'm not allowed to eat it, even though I'm covering all the food expenses." "Then why don't you go buy some from the supermarket yourself? Cup noodles are cheap with your salary, right?" His words had a sharp edge to them and irritated me. Feeling that further conversation would only make me more irritated, I decided to have a light soup and I bought dinner as usual as a substitute snack for dinner. That night, while soaking in the bath, I found myself in deep thought. Why did my husband's attitude suddenly change like that? "Andrew, I wonder what's going on." Maybe he was just really exhausted. Until now, I had mostly left the household chores to my husband. I would help when I could, but the burden of him remained significant. Several months had passed since then, but my husband's attitude didn't change. On the contrary, he grew more distant day by day, and recently he started ignoring me when I tried to talk to him. A while ago, a new project started at work, and I've been experiencing more hectic days as a team leader. My return home time has been later than before, and I would come home exhausted, often skipping dinner and going straight to sleep. Lately, my husband stopped cooking meals, and we all started eating individually according to our own preferences. I felt lonely, but for me, who had early mornings and late nights, it was more convenient that way. And one day, due to our consecutive overtime, my boss unusually said to me, "You can leave on my time for today." Finally, I thought I could have dinner with my husband after a long time. With that in mind, I stopped by the supermarket and bought my favorite potatoes and roast beef. Then I went to the bakery and got 2 tarts before heading home. However, no matter how long I waited, my husband never came home. The time was already past 7 p.m. He usually leaves work on time, so he would have been home by 6 p.m. even if he was running late. I tried sending him a message, but there was no response. Not even a red receipt. Time kept passing by. "Andrew, I wonder what's going on." Even after 8 p.m., there was no sign of my husband coming home. The meal I had prepared had almost gone cold. Fed up with waiting, I decided to call him. Surprisingly, he picked up after a few rings. "What do you want?" Behind the curt response, I could hear faint giggles. With a bad feeling, I confronted him on the spot. "Hey, where are you right now? Are you with someone else?" "Does it really matter where I am? You're probably going to be late from work too, so what's wrong with me having a drink before coming home?" "I'm already home today. I left work on time and even brought dinner." "I already had dinner, so I don't need it. Bye." Wait a minute!" Even though the conversation wasn't over yet, he abruptly hung up the phone. Afterwards, I tried calling him multiple times, but he didn't respond. My head filled with a sense of unease. One thing was certain. My husband was now somewhere with someone else. Maybe it was just a coworker, perhaps meeting up with a friend after a long time, but it was just woman's institution. From his tone and demeanor, I could sense that he was hiding something, so I decided to open my husband's room and began searching for something. Found it. This is it, the one he always used. It was the tablet my husband usually used. He bought a new one, so this tablet wasn't in use anymore. If he was having an affair, there might be evidence on it here. That's what I thought. He plugged it in the charger and started up the tablet. Since he had replaced it with a new one, there was no password lock on it, and it opened immediately. As I thoroughly examined the apps inside, I carefully opened the email folder, and there, finally, I found what I was looking for. I knew it! Andrew was having an affair! It was an email chain of my husband exchanging messages with his affair partner. Perhaps he used this instead of a smartphone to avoid being caught by me. In the folder, there were dozens of messages left every day, and among them were cheerful romantic couple photos sent by his affair partner. In this folder, there were numerous images of a woman who appeared to be the affair partner. When I looked back through the email exchanges, they dated back to about 4 months ago. It was around the time when my husband's attitude started to change. I have been puzzled about why my husband suddenly became cold towards me, but the mystery was finally solved. Considering the timing, it was most likely true. In that moment, anger surged through my body and I started trembling with fury. I gripped the tablet tightly and my hand trembling with an intense force. It was unbelievable. One moment his attitude had changed, and now I discovered he was having an affair. I decided to confront him and to get the truth. When my husband finally returned home after 11 p.m., I immediately confronted him. Hey, what's going on? Were you having an affair? Huh? Well, what are you suddenly talking about? Making things up without any proof? I have proof, see? I confronted my husband with the evidence I found on the tablet. He seemed surprised for a moment, soon burst into a sneer laughter. You really don't understand a thing, do you? Do you know why I had an affair? He looked at me with a condescending gaze and a smirk as if it was my fault. He had an attitude that seemed to say, it's not my fault, it's all your fault. Despite that, I confronted him with a strong and assertive demeanor. What do you mean? Are you saying I'm the reason you cheated? Yeah, that's right. I cheated because you made me feel lonely. Are you serious? Are you really saying that? Of course. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just get out of here. Andrew took out a completed divorce form from his bag, slammed it on the living room table, and had a triumphant smile on his face. In that moment, all the emotions I had built up towards my husband evaporated. There was no love left, only disgust. Why did he say that? He cheated because I made him feel lonely? This is ridiculous. I will make you suffer no matter what it takes. With revenge on my mind, I turned to my husband and told him in no uncertain terms, all right, then I'll leave with just my personal belongings. Sure, do as you please now that I can live with my girlfriend. But please, give me 1 week. I need to find a new place. Do whatever you want. Stay at my girlfriend's place for about a week, so make sure you leave before that, okay? My husband took only the bare essentials and left our home. As for me, I immediately started preparing for the move, but it wasn't just about moving to the new place. I decided to take everything from this house, all the furniture and appliances that I had purchased myself with me. On that day, I packed some of my belongings, and the next day, I contracted the moving company. I also arranged a temporary stay at a month-to-month apartment. With everything settled, I left the house behind. Already divorced, we had become complete strangers. On this particular day, I was eating dinner alone when I received a call on my phone. I had a feeling it would be him, and as expected, it was a call from my ex-husband. Hello? With an aggressive tone, he started right away. Hey, what the hell is going on? What's wrong? Why are you so worked up? Don't play dumb. The house is... Why is everything gone? Huh? Didn't I tell you I'm taking my personal belongings with me? And all the furniture and appliances in the house bought by me, right? So I just took them. Is there a problem? What is that? You're the one leaving. You should leave the normal things behind, right? Why did I bring my girlfriend over for? Perhaps he had intended to impress his new girlfriend. However, the house was practically empty. Just imagining his expression at that moment made me want to burst out laughing. Despite my desperate efforts to hold back my laughter, Andrew continued. Hey, are you listening? Give it back, it's mine. Give it back? After receiving financial support from me and still having the audacity to cheat, you think you can say that? Let me tell you this. I'll make sure to claim compensation for emotional distress. It's my right. What compensation? Why should I? It's your fault. I cheated. My fault? Made you feel lonely? Don't make me laugh. You know my job was demanding before we got married. I always cherished our time together as a couple. It's none other than you who betrayed our trust. As I made my case, Andrew fumbled for words. There was no point in wasting any more time. To settle the score, I firmly spoke my mind. Do you understand? This mess is all because of your actions. I don't want to hear anything from a man who cheats. Don't ever involve yourself with me again. I hope you and your affair partner go to hell together. Emily, wait, Without waiting for his response, I hung up the phone and deleted his contact. It was the moment when the plunge inside of me finally disappeared. Afterward, I consulted a lawyer and claimed the car from my ex-husband and his affair partner. I heard that the cheating partner paid me a lump sum and then simply broke up with Andrew. As a result, my husband became emotionally and physically unstable. What he faced was a demand for the rent payment. Yes, that luxury high-rise apartment in his name because Andrew insisted on being seen as the man in the relationship. In other words, all the bills and rent demands are addressed to him. Up until now, we split the rent, but from now on, he's responsible for all the rent and utility expenses. Given his tight financial situation, there's no way he can afford the rent for that luxury apartment. Additionally, since the reason for the divorce is entirely his fault, he can't expect support from his parents. With no one else to rely on, Andrew moved to a small apartment and is now making ends meet with multiple jobs. I, on the other hand, have successfully rented a place near my office and moved in. Reducing the commuting time has given me more freedom in the mornings and evenings, allowing me to spend my days more meaningfully. While my marriage ended in failure, I have no regrets. I'm doing well in my career, and I'm determined to enrich my life further and continue striving for self-improvement every day.